Welcome to the Primal Edge Health Podcast. I've got my little brother here on the bottom of the screen, Chase. He kind of
on the bottom.
I put him on the bottom. He represents the unwashed masses, the average American. No, he's
well,
my.
When you guys have you guys at such a high note, you got to have a low one to balance it out. You know?
Yeah.
Good and bad, and high, low.
So I've got Chase here to help co-host with me. He's a really awesome kid, and he's got a lot of cool stories too. I don't know if we'll really get into that today, but that's my brother Chase, and we're here with my friends Jared Dumba and David Leemacher. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
So they're in Saskatchewan. How do I even say that word?
Regina, Saskatchewan. Yeah, Regina. Remember it this way: the city Regina, the city that rhymes with fun.
Yeah, this is a family show.
It's a family show.
Like, come on, I'll edit that out. Sorry, guys. So they're in Saskatchewan, Canada. Chase is in North America. He's in Florida at my parents' house right now, and I'm down here in Ecuador, in South America. So we're just like representing the whole American peninsula here.
Mm-hmm. We speak for everyone.
We speak for everyone on these two continents. I speak for South America, Chase for America, and then for Canada.
Yeah, we speak for all of Canada, yeah.
Yeah, we're all of Canada. They're all exactly like us.
Yeah, everybody's exactly the same as us.
Yep.
So this podcast is going to be it's going to be about health, longevity. Well, we're going to talk about some interesting journeys that people have had to discovering different ways of managing their lives and their health. And let's just get it started. I guess first I'd kind of like to talk to Jared about he's a former professional hockey player, and I grew up in Southern California, so I mean obviously hockey's not a really big part of the culture in Southern California, but I mean
no.
But yeah, I mean I was really into sports and stuff, so I know that one of the greatest coaches of all time was a hockey coach. So, I mean, I was just always really amazed and inspired that this guy was able to lead a ragtag group of young, overweight kids under the age of 10 to dominate at the Olympics and beat the Russians. So, I mean, how big of an influence was Emilio Estevez in your life? And have you ever met Emilio?
No, I've never met Emilio, but we all love the Mighty Ducks. And yeah, classic movies, Flying V. I mean, come on.
Flying V, it's like it doesn't even work in hockey, does it? I mean, does that even do?
Those are movies, hockey players. We couldn't stand watching those. It just was so fake.
We cringe when we watch that. We're just like, oh man, you guys aren't portraying hockey worth a damn, but
it was probably good entertainment value for everybody else in
it's really good.
California, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, California even started a hockey team in Anaheim after that.
Well, you know what? You guys took Wayne Gretzky from us, and you know what? I when you guys took Wayne Gretzky from us, I cried.
You cried?
I cried for days. I ripped my Wayne Gretzky posters off the wall. I had a target on Janet Gretzky. I couldn't. It broke our hearts when you guys stole hockey from us.
Stole hockey.
You know what? Not me. I just changed it into an LA Kings fan. I'm still a Kings fan, so
That's
we
cool.
won last year. I say we, LA. We as a
So how did you guys meet, and how did you guys get started with your business? Because you guys run a really interesting business, and it seems like you're real passionate about it. And there are products that are very different, or very individual. And yeah, how did you guys meet and get that started? And I guess hockey kind of brought you guys together. I mean, that's everybody in Canada. That's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the way we first met was actually we were playing hockey against each other, and my father said to me, this was in bantam hockey, 15, 16 years old. My dad said to me, he's like, there's this guy named Jared Dumba. He's going to set scoring records, and he's really good, and you got to shadow him. And I was like, Dad, I'll cross-check him. I got this.
Knock this son.
He's dirty. He's dirty.
I was a dirty player, but that's how we originally met. So what had happened was, a few years ago, roughly 2008, I watched a movie called Food Matters, and I think Food Matters had an impact on nearly everybody that watched it. And at the time, I wasn't really doing so well in my life. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't very positive. My life really was in shambles. I had just lost my job. Things were really going poor for me. So what it is, I saw Food Matters, and I was like, okay, this is inspiring. I want to learn something about health. So I started reading more, started taking different supplements and stuff like that. And then my sister-in-law says to me, you know, I'm marrying this guy. He's an elk farmer's son. You really need to try Elk Velvet Antler, because I know you're trying every supplement that there is. And I said, well, yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll take it. So I got this white bottle of Elk Antler, no label on the damn thing, and I started trying it. I took like 2 or 3 capsules, and I'm just like, boom, I had all this energy. I was like, what the hell is this? And right away, my first thought was, this is natural Red Bull. And so I was like blown away. I was like feeling so good. And so I kept taking it. I kept taking it for a few years and just using it, giving it to friends. And everybody was saying the same thing. They're like, man, I got so much energy. I feel so good on this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know, you know. And then I couldn't put it together that this is something that everybody should be taking. So I was taking it, and then all of a sudden, Jared moved across the back alley. This is 2010 or 2011.
I retired from hockey because I actually had scoliosis both ways in my spine, and my pelvis sits offline about 4 to 6 inches comfortably. That's what I walk around at.
And what was that from? Was that from taking hits to the?
That's just hits from behind, and just constant beating on the body. That was my parting gift from 10 years of playing in the minors, was a broken body and no money. So I moved. I was going to stay down the States. I actually ended up moving back to Canada, and happened to move right through the back alley from Mr. Limaker here. And I was hobbling around my backyard one morning, and Dave was over the fence laughing at me, prick. And
he was still holding a grudge.
And I
his dad said.
Yeah, and he said, "What's going on with you?"
He's like, no.
He said, "What's wrong with you? What'd you do?" And I said, "This is my every morning. It takes me about 20, 30 minutes to warm up." And, you know, I was kind of walking, hobbled around. I told him about my injury, and he said, "Well, here, try this stuff." And I said, "Well, you know, I've tried everything under the sun being an athlete. I've tried every single natural supplement, every supplement. Nothing's going to take this pain away that the doctor's given me every narcotic in the world, and none of those worked, so I don't take anything."
Yeah.
And he said, "Just give this a whirl. I'll give you half a bottle." So needless to say, the next day I was over knocking on his door. I'd left work, and I was knocking on his door saying, "Where do you get this stuff, and what is this?" I thought that he had just lied to me and it wasn't natural. I actually thought he had given me a drug because it worked so well. And I wasn't even mad at him. I was like, wow, like, I just want to know what it is. I know
I'm not going to call the cops, man. I just want some more.
Yeah, like, nothing more. Just give more of this. Like, I don't know. I don't care what it is. It feels good. So
that was kind of like I knew how good it was, but when I gave it to him, I didn't expect to see those results from him. He comes over, he's like, "Oh my God, what is this stuff?" And so we started taking it for like another year or so, just like trial with it, working out on it. And it was like having a really huge impact on our lives. And we both kind of looked at each other. And one day in my backyard, we were just sitting there and we looked at each other, because I actually contacted the farmers. I said, "Where do I get this stuff?" They're like, "There's no market for Elk Velvet Antler. The market's done. There's nobody wants to buy it. It's being sold to pets. Like, this stuff is being sold to pets." So I looked across this table one day in our backyard with Jared and my wife, and we were like, "Oh my God, we got to get this out to people. We got to start this and get this product out to the world, because it's really good, and not enough people know about this right now." So that's kind of how, and we just did it on a whim. I took business in school, but we didn't know what we were doing. We just like, we got to get this product out. We just shoot for the moon, and that's kind of how VIGR started, really.
Now, VIGR, that's spelled VIGR.ca is your website, right? CA is a kid.
Yeah.
VIGR.ca.
So we started based on Elk Velvet Antler. We started getting it out to people, and then we were kind of, our interest was always health, I guess, since like 2008. So we were trying everything else, and that's kind of how we added the other products that we have, including the chaga mushroom, because we felt it was really complementary to be taking with the Elk Antler.
Now, what exactly is Elk Antler? What is the Elk Antler Velvet? I mean, how is it harvested? And I mean, it comes from an elk, right?
It does. So what Elk Antler is a herb, is a tonic herb that is harvested from the antler of the elk, right? the antler is the fastest growing substance in the mammal kingdom. It grows faster than anything else. It regenerates too. It grows back every single year. So the antler starts growing in the springtime. It sheds in the fall. But what the Chinese practitioners found about 2,000 years ago, they found that antler was a powerful tonic herb. So they started taking the antler in the velvet form, in the velvet stage. Antler in the velvet stage is harvested usually in May, around the full moon in May. And if you do it on the full moon, you're going to get a more powerful product. And we do harvest on the full moon. So when we harvest, you harvest the antler from the animal. It's quick and it's painless. And I promise you that it's all humanely done. And we have professionals that have been doing this stuff for about 25 to 30 years. And they are the best at what they do. So we harvest the antler in the springtime, and we freeze the antler, we dry it, and then we crush it down and put it into capsules. And it's not a supplement. It's a whole food that people are taking. Just in the capsule form, it's really convenient way to take it. And the antler grows back every year. These animals produce antler for up to 25 years. We have some animals that are almost 30 years old, still providing antler. So when the antler is harvested, it's processed in a best practices facility, certified by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and then it's bottled in a facility that's certified by Health Canada to be of highest standard. And we have a natural products number, which allows us to sell it to the public market. One thing I will say about our animals, I think one of the reasons why our product is superior is because our animals do live in these really harsh conditions. And I do think the epigenetics and the environment affect the quality of antler. And we have over 40 farms that supply us. What we also do with the antler is we actually have a guy who's been in the industry for 18 years. He handpicks every single piece of the antler that goes into each bottle of our product. He literally spends days handpicking through all of this harvested antler, saying yes, no, and that's the best stuff is what goes in our bottles. And you know what, we're talking semi-loads full of this stuff. So I think we do in terms of quality. I think the antler that we have could be one of the top antlers in the world.
Now, so is the velvet, that's a stage that the antler gets into, and you guys don't process it to like velvetize it or anything like that? It's a stage that the antler goes through?
Yeah, that's just sort of the name that the practitioners have given it, is the velvet antler. It's taken in the velvet stage. So when it's in the velvet stage, it's going to be really soft, and it's going to be furry. It's going to have like little hairs on the antler. And it's actually really soft and pliable. If you found an animal with antler in the velvet stage, who's in the velvet stage, you could literally you could
just shoot it right there and just take it. No. You never shoot antler. You never shoot the animal. The animals don't need to die in order for this to happen. And that's really, I really clearly want to put that out, that you don't have to shoot animals. No, that's incredible. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we don't hurt animals. You know what? I wouldn't do it. There's just no way I would.
Yeah, no, me neither.
You know, there's just no way I would be on board with a product that was like that. So
elk, what are they actually I mean, they're being raised for the antler as well as other products. What else do they use the elk for? Is this for food or?
Well, some producers, not the producers that we work with, some of the animals that are at the end of their lifespan, they do end up in the food chain. But that's at the end of the lifespan. Some people do raise elk for food production. In Canada, it's very tightly regulated. I know in Asia they use all of the products of the animal. They do tip to tail in Asia, but in Canada that's not really a practice. You're not allowed to harvest the animal for organs or any other byproducts other than standard meat. But
it seems like meat would be really good meat. It might be a viable thing rather than raising cattle, raising elk. It's more natural to the environment up there, and it would be more tied into the natural cycles of life around you, which we all know is really important, which we can maybe get into a little bit later. But why is it so tightly regulated? Why can't you just raise elk like cattle and use them for food?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think there's political reasons there. I used to work for the Minister of Agriculture in Saskatchewan. And I worked with the cattle producers. I worked with the elk producers. I think that there's some political competitive stuff going on there. So, I mean, you can hunt an elk, you can hunt moose, you can hunt deer, whatever you want in Saskatchewan, and you can basically use any of those animals for food. Moose hunting is a really big thing around here. But as far as the elk, they don't really, the industry doesn't really exist here other than for antler. Antler is the most prominent one, and that's one of the reasons why most of the people got into antler farming or into elk farming was because of the antler, because that they had heard this was really big. Like antler was really big in Saskatchewan and in Canada back in the 80s and early 90s. It was a really big thing, but nobody had the vision, in my opinion, to be able to get this product out to the masses. Like I said, it was being used for pets.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
a lot of the excuse me, a lot of the people that were doing it too. I mean, they're to be able to get this to the masses. They're already doing the job of raising the elk, taking care of them, running their farms. It's tough to be able to do all the right things and to have the time to do the right things to get this out to the masses when you're already spending so much of your time putting a quality product together.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I think back, I've actually seen images of when moose and elk are shedding their antlers, and they take those things and they rub them against trees to try and knock them off, and they'll be like frayed and just falling apart. So I mean, this is a part of the animal that's going to fall off anyways, right? I mean, or they're going to
every single fall they will shed their antler in the fall, and they will regrow the antler. The thing is, it's funny because these animals are really, actually some of the farmers, and we got some good pictures with the farmers, these animals are really tame. You know what I mean? And if these animals didn't understand, I think on a spiritual level, on say a level that maybe we think about, these animals understand that they have medicine on their heads. They understand that this antler is medicine. It's no different than any other natural medicine herb that we use. There's a reason why these animals are on the planet. And I really do believe that these animals intuitively on a level know that what they're carrying around on their head is medicine. And they shed them every year. They shed it in the fall, and then they start regrowing in the springtime. And these animals that we work with, very tame, very happy. They have a pretty good life. They really do. And a lot of the farms, they're around forested areas, so they're living in their own natural habitat. It's not like it's not like a feedlot or anything inhumane or ridiculous like that. This is like, these animals are like living in their natural habitat in the wild.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, just to prove that, we have friends, close friends that are vegans and vegetarians that take our product. And once they realize how humane it is, and once they realize what it's actually about and the health benefits, they have no questions, no qualms, no queries about taking our product, and they do regularly.
And I'll put this out here right now. Anybody watching this wants to come and meet these animals and check it out. I mean, come to Regina, you know what I mean? Come play some hockey with us, and we'll
How would Dave they can
just don't be too good. Just don't be too good, or Dave will check you in the mouth.
So we'll get you some good bison jerky if anybody wants to come up here.
Ooh, that sounds good. I'll come for that.
Well, send you some. Can we send you some to Ecuador?
Yeah, yeah. We got to send it to Florida first, and then I can get it out here. We can talk about that later. Just send me a few elk too. Just send the whole thing. Let's start down here.
We'll hook that up.
Now what? All right. So you mentioned like the some of the properties that the Elk Antler has, and when you take it, you said that you feel kind of almost like a rush of energy. And I've actually heard that it's been used in traditional Chinese medicine for a long time, and throughout Asia and even in Russia. And what are some of the other things that people use this for? I mean, it seems like, just when you look at what it is, it seems like a symbol of fertility and virility because of the regenerative properties. I mean, when you look at bone marrow and what bone marrow does, and the reasons why that's such an amazing food for us to eat, it seems like Elk Antler is almost taking that to another level. And what kind of things have you seen your product do in your life and for other people, and what kind of traditional uses does it have?
Well, it's mainly a tonic. It's used for strengthening the kidney meridian. It's would be in what traditional Chinese medicine, what they call a yang herb. So it basically creates heat or creates energy in the body. A lot of people in Chinese medicine that are cold or yang deficient or yin dominant, which is the cooler side, they use it to increase heat in the body or life force, basically. There's a lot of minerals, and there's a lot of interesting things that are in the antler, and there's a lot of compounds that nobody's been able to identify before. People use it for many different things. People use it for fertility, for increasing sperm count. Women have used it for during menopause in order to lessen the effects of menopause. That really, so the really quick transition when women change that from being estrogen dominant and then the whole swing with iodine in the body, it can be very dramatic for the women. So a lot of women use this to lessen that drastic effect of menopause. For me, it was, and Jared, I think for us, it was mainly because we found that when we took it, we were stronger in the gym. We took it because it gave us more energy, and it really actually helped a lot with the brain. A lot of people take it for that. Arthritis, man, okay, so when we started this thing, it was like, this is natural Red Bull, is what I thought, right? Mm-hmm. So we kind of based our marketing on that. Then all of a sudden, people are saying, well, I quit anxiety medication. Oh, I started taking Antler and I quit depression medication. I took Antler and I quit my diabetic medication. Well, I'm not telling anybody to quit any kind of medication, but I'm telling you that's what we were starting to see. We were getting all these testimonials like, oh, all of a sudden I have all this energy and I'm going to the gym again. People were dropping weight on it. So a lot of things that we didn't even know was possible on the product, we're seeing that. And I know that sounds anecdotal, and there are studies to you can link back to, but these are some of the things that we're seeing.
Skin, we're seeing a lot of, especially people in their 50s and 60s with lots of wrinkles or anything wrong with their skin. It seems to be helping their skin smooth out, plump up a bit. There's 6 types of collagen in it, so that would be one of the reasons. But yeah, we're having some great, some of the arthritis stuff, like Dave said, has been phenomenal. I know my mother's best friend, she's struggled with arthritis for a long, long time. And this is the only thing. She's actually dropped a few of her medications with her doctor's help. And, and she's, the arthritis, I've just seen so many people. The other thing is pain relief. A lot of people with old injuries, especially old athletes. My father lives in town. He's got old hockey injuries, and we know a large community of ex-pro both hockey and football players that all swear by this stuff. They use it all the time. They're using it. People with hip and knee replacement surgeries when they're getting up there in age, they use it as a precursor to the surgery. Take it throughout as soon as their surgery's done, they take it. It acts as a painkiller, and it's also helping them to heal. That's why Ray Lewis used it, because it helped him heal, and he was ready to play after a torn bicep. In 7 weeks, he played in the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. One of my buddies from around town plays for our local professional football team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he was ready to go in 6 weeks. They had him on the 8-week injured reserve list, and he was pissed off because he was ready to go in 6. He didn't think that he would be, but he started taking our product, and just the healing benefits and the recovery. And I mean, we got a lot of football and hockey players too, other athletes that use it, and they just swear by the recovery time. There's literally almost no recovery time.
So yeah, and like I'll touch on the thing with athletes. I know there's a lot of misconception right now about Antler. A lot of these guys that advertise their Antler products, they're telling you that it's IGF. Well, the World Anti-Doping Agency banned IGF-1 as a performance-enhancing substance, right? Mm-hmm. So I've done some research into IGF, because I know when Vijay Singh, if people probably remember when Vijay Singh, the professional golfer, was charged with using a banned substance, they tested the Antler that he was using, and they found no IGF-1 in his product. The reason why people think that there's IGF-1 in the product, in my opinion, is there was a study linked at a university in New Zealand saying that when Antler is growing, there's elevated IGF-1 levels in the blood of the animal. And they found a little tiny bit of IGF-1 at the very tips of the antler. Well, there's no IGF in antler. Therefore, it's not a banned substance. Any professional athlete can use antler. We have professional athletes, who I'm not going to name, that are using antler, that are getting tested for banned substances, and they're passing every single test. So a lot of the marketing claims that people are making, I think it's bullshit. So I'm telling you that professional athletes can take this stuff and should be taking this stuff. And that's why Ray Lewis was taking this stuff to recover faster. In fact, it's good for the fans. If the fans want better sports, and people taking antler, they're going to play longer. They're going to play less injured. You know what I mean? It's also about the sport. You know, I get that we shouldn't be giving these guys performance enhancing stuff, but if you can take something that helps you heal faster and recover faster from a vigorous workout, why not? Right? So
these guys are going to take performance enhancing drugs anyways, and they are. I mean, if they really started vigorously testing these people, there'd be no UFC or NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this. I mean, people actually, it's so disjointed. There's actually a good movie called Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and it kind of touches on all these issues on steroids in professional sports, because it's almost like a schizophrenic attitude that people have, especially in the United States, where they're going to call Mark McGuire a cheater and say, oh, you know, this guy, he got popped for steroids, he was taking roids, so he was just cheating, so his record should get an asterisk next to it. But at the time, his home run rally actually pretty much saved baseball. Baseball was, I mean, there was no money involved in it at the time. It was going downhill. And and in the end, I think people actually, I'm not advocating steroids in sports. I'm just saying I think we should actually take a more honest look at, you know, performance enhancing drugs. And if they're going to be used in these sports, they're being used now and they're going to continue to be used.
Well, I mean, and where do you draw the line? I mean, the Olympic Commission looked at banning beet juice a few years back. I mean, how are you going to ban food? This in Korea and China, elk velvet's used as a whole food supplement. You know, it's a whole food. So how are you going to ban a whole food? It just because it helps you recover, because it's got the proper synergistic mineral complex in it.
All right, so let's jump into to another aspect I know is that actually brought us all together in the first place. Before I even knew that you guys were doing the Elk Antler Velvet and the Shaga Mushroom, which are both things that in the past and in the present that I've used and benefited from. But let's talk about the bigger picture of diet. And this is probably a section where Chase may be able to interject and have some good questions, because he's kind of coming from more of an outsider perspective. He's not so obsessively involved in health as we are, and he's kind of lives a little bit different lifestyle than I do. So, yeah, what led you guys to the conclusions that brought you to eat the way you do today and to use nutrition as a way to improve your lives? And maybe talk about some of the steps you've gone along the way. And maybe, Chase, if you got any questions, do just jump in and ask them.
Well, yeah, I mean, diet really, you know, at one time I really believed that, you know, diet was everything. Now I know that our environment that we live in plays a huge role and probably the dominating role in the state of our health. But in terms of diet, I mean, I didn't really know when I first, in 2008, after I watched Food Matters, you know, when I bought a juicer, I started juicing, I tried that. You feel okay right away for the start. And then I've tried vegan. I was vegan for almost a year. And I really didn't have the energy that I had before. You know, I was vegetarian. You know, I really tried everything. When I grew up as a kid, you know, the background that we ate, we were Icelandic. My grandfather was from Iceland, and basically we ate a diet that they brought over from Iceland, and we felt really good. You know, it was meat and vegetables and potato, and everything was really seasonal. So when I started feeling really shitty after being on vegan and vegetarian diets, you know, I had to take a look at things and say, well, is this really what my body's supposed to be doing? Am I really supposed to be eating this way? So that's when I started exploring the paleo side of things, because the paleo kind of made sense to me, because I'm like, well, you know, we should be eating something that our ancestors ate, because my mom did it, my grandfather did it, my grandmother were doing it. So basically, going through all that, I've sort of tailored the diet now to a diet that's based on DHA, right? I think fish is the most important thing that we can eat. DHA is what's responsible for taking light and turning it into a DC signal, right? Our retinas are full of DHA. Our brains are loaded with DHA. So I've gone to I would say a high-fat, seasonal, ketogenic diet that is loaded with fish and local meats and local vegetables. This winter, I'll tell you what, it's -40 here in the wintertime. Nothing grows. I went weeks without eating any vegetables. I went 2 weeks without eating any vegetables. I haven't had any fruit since fruit's been seasonal. So, and Jared and I pretty much, we do the same thing. We chat with this all the time. So basically, Jared, we've gone to a high-fat diet, and we learned a lot from you, Tristan, you know, what you were teaching us on the ketogenic diet, because I'd never heard of the ketogenic diet until you know, maybe a year ago. But it makes sense. It makes sense. And you know what? I've noticed the improvement in thinking by basing a diet on fish and seasonal vegetables and seasonal carbohydrate. I've noticed a lot better sleep going to this diet. And so I think that's kind of what we've done. We were always searching for the best way to do things, right? Like I think everybody in the health industry is always searching for the best way to do something. And, you know, the problem is, I think a lot of people get to a certain point and they feel kind of good, and then they buy into it completely 100%. I think that's what happens with the vegans, because they go vegan right away and then they feel really good, but then they stop looking for what more that they can do. And that's kind of our philosophy, that you just keep going, try to find something better until you find the total optimum, right? You can't, it's like you read, say you read 100 books. Nate, are you an expert in knowledge? No, you're not an expert in knowledge, because there's another 100,000 books to read. So there's always more to learn. And that's kind of how we tailor our own health, is by constantly learning on what we can do better for our own health. And it's that relentless pursuit of health that I think leads to real superior health.
And we're honest with ourselves too. We don't just, like Dave said, we don't get lazy and just find something and feel good for a bit and go, okay, that's it. That's, you know, we found it, we're done. We're always looking. If we're going to look for something, we might go a certain way, trying to find more optimum, and we might feel not as good as we did. We might have to draw it back and then start looking again, but we're always looking, always trying to evolve. And honestly, we've been doing this for the last 5-6 years relentlessly, and this is by far the best way that we've found is the high fat ketogenic way. I mean, when you think better, you feel better, you look better. You can tell when people are, you know, when your friends are saying, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you looking good?" And if you feel good and you're thinking good, I don't know. That's we're still going to be looking to add more and to get better. But as for right now, this is by far the best that we found.
Yeah, I went through a vegan phase too. I mean, Chase, remember the shit we used to eat when we grew up? I mean, like, what did we used to eat for breakfast?
We used to eat oatmeal.
Dude, that's like, I ate Lucky Charms.
Yeah, we used to eat cereal, a lot of sugar.
Charms? Oh, yeah.
Dude, remember
ice cream every night? Ice cream. Like, tweak out on the ice cream.
Well, yeah, I mean, whoever, like, if you finish that ice cream thing, there's going to be a fight. You know, if you step away with that, like,
everybody trying to get their fix on the sugar.
Or if you finish the bottom of the Lucky Charms box, I'm gonna be so pissed at you.
Yeah, that's why I grew up so small. I couldn't get my Lucky Charms.
I remember those things we used to get from Costco, dude. They're just these pastries, and they're like full on. They're like glazed with they're full of sugar. The inside is like,
cinnamon rolls.
They weren't cinnamon rolls. They were like these glazed pastry type things. When I was in high school, we used to get them. So you would have been, I don't know, you would have been like 11 or 12. But they were so sugary, and I remember eating them before school. And by the time I was like halfway through the first period of high school, I'd feel like falling asleep. You know, it's like,
was it those weird Danish things with like the synthetic cheese in them?
No, they came in the same box, but there was one thing that was like, it's kind of like a cinnamon roll, but it was just disgustingly sugary.
I don't know, it was just bread and sugar. It was just bread and sugar. And
that's like, our parents wanted us to eat healthy, but that's just like, when we go to Costco, I would always make sure to bully my way into the situation. Like, I want that, you know, or those like, what were those muffins with the sugary blueberry muffins from Costco? Just mass-produced crap. I mean, that's what we grew up eating. It takes a toll. You know, you might feel good for a little while. You think you're doing all right, but then you become like, you get injured or something. It's like, what happened to me? And you kind of start to rethink things, and you're like, okay, why do I have zero energy all the time? And why, when I eat, do I feel worse than before I ate, even though it tastes so good? It's like, it's crazy addictive behavior. But
yeah, that's funny. You know, we were looking at actually family pictures. My father was retiring, so we were putting together some pictures of our lifetime. And I remember when the low-fat craze came in Saskatchewan. I remember it was like roughly like 1988 when low-fat. I was 8 years old. And you look at our family pictures, we were eating seasonal diets based on Icelandic and Nordic ways of eating. The low-fat craze broke in roughly 1987, 88, where we're from. And like literally, we got fat as the low-fat craze hit. Like my family, we're just all of us. We look at pictures, we all ballooned up, man. I'll tell you what.
That's funny, because the low-fat craze, it wasn't like people actually – I've seen analysis where people didn't actually eat less fat. They still ate the same amount of fat. They just ate more grains and more sugar. So it's like now you're eating the same amount of fat. You're eating the same amount of protein, probably less protein because animal fat became really bad. So they're eating the same amount of fat, but they're just eating with shitload of sugar and freaking grains. And it's like – it's just –
margarine. Just margarine. I remember just like margarine on everything, and it's just like. Oh,
we never used margarine though, did we, Chase? I think we used.
You just eat straight butter.
We always had butter. That's pretty cool. I used to put butter on my Pop-Tarts. Now I don't know, but he's ever done that.
That's like the only thing I ever learned from you.
Yeah.
Love it.
We're such a bad influence on people right now. Everyone's just like thinking about Pop-Tarts and.
Like mom and dad, I mean, they're trying their best, you know, to feed us healthy. But even with you guys with like ketogenic diet and stuff, like the baseline of a healthy diet is always going to be changing and improving, kind of like what David was talking about.
Yeah. And
you know, that was the baseline then. You know, that was like the bottom, and then just like they had to keep improving upon that. But
yeah, the healthy cereal would have been the Cheerios 4-grain whole grain cereal. Like that's good for you.
I mean, it said it was good for your heart. It said it was good for your heart. I mean, it's tough though, you know, it's like, oh, these people are telling me it'll do this magic thing, and like, you know, like all the time how skeptical people get.
Yeah.
I think people are going to get it. I think, you know, some people are going to get it and some people aren't going to get it. But one of the things you can't dispute is when you start eating seafood every day, you know, I'm eating it twice a day sometimes, you start to feel really, really good. And feeling really, really good from eating seafood is addictive. You know, when your brain starts to function better, I'm telling you what, man, like you're just like, I can't not eat fish. And when you start eating fish every day, then you notice when you're not eating fish, especially if you're exposing yourself to your blue light phone or your, you know, these artificial lights. I'll tell you what, man, you need more fish. And when you eat, it's addicting. It's addicting. It feels really, really good.
And you never get hungry. That's the other thing, is never getting hungry. Like I worked out yesterday pretty hard I just do high intensity workouts now for about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. But I worked out pretty hard. I had shrimp for lunch and noni and raw salmon and a little avocado for post-workout. Man. I couldn't eat anything else. I couldn't even think about food the rest of the day. And that's all I had, just a tiny little bit of food.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, you go watch your family members eat or other people, you know, eating, and you see them just devour a huge plate of food, and then they're hungry 2 hours later, and you're going, well, how the hell is this possible? Just eating the wrong thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's amazing because you have an infinite reserve of food that you're carrying on your body. I mean, an almost infinite reserve. I mean, even if you're like super low body fat percentage, you got several pounds of food that you're carrying around, and your body doesn't store it. I don't know. People, I guess you could pick apart this statement and take what you will, but your body stores fat for energy. Your body doesn't store carbohydrates. It does store glycogen for certain uses, but for long-term energy, your body stores fat. Your body's made to tap into fat. Now, I'm not trying to say that fat is more important than carbohydrates or whatever, because people are going to like bitch and cry and pick it apart because, oh, you burn carbohydrates first. If you put alcohol in your body, you're going to burn that first because that's toxic in your blood. So you have to remove it. But your body stores fat. You're meant to be able to use fat as a fuel. So this whole fear of fat is actually, it's one of the stupidest and possibly one of the most destructive health fads that has ever happened. And a high carbohydrate diet is a fad. People love to say, oh, keto diet or like paleo diet, which like I don't do a paleo diet. I don't like associate myself at all with paleo or whatever. And yeah, I called my channel Primal Edge Health, but I had never even heard of Mark Sisson when I started this channel. I just liked that word, and I actually did want to kind of tap into some of the people who were into paleo because I think they're doing it wrong for the most part. Now, including lots of fish in a ketogenic diet, I think is so freaking important, and people don't realize. People try to make a keto diet and they just eat bacon and eggs, and yeah, that's going to be better than like your standard American diet, and you'll probably feel better, and your health markers will probably improve. But people have to realize that fish and omega-3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA, are much more important than like the saturated fatty acids that you're going to get from bacon and eggs. Iodine and DHA and EPA are so important for a biological function of your body, make up your mitochondrial, the inner mitochondrial membrane of your cells. And actually, when I first talked to Jack Cruz, that was when it kind of clicked that fish should be the majority of the ketogenic diet and not beef and pork. Now, so I gotta give Jack some props there, and I know you guys have like hung out with him and probably have some funny stories about him that you may or may not want to share. But he's a really intelligent guy, and his what he lays out in his book, which I've never read, but I've actually read plenty of it, is that your keto diet should be based on DHA and should be seasonal and should be tied to the cycles of life around you. Who would have thought? You know, who would have thought as human beings we should be tied into our environment and be drinking local spring water and be eating foods that grow seasonally, naturally around us? I mean, I thought we're supposed to eat 30 bananas when we live in minus 40 degree weather in Saskatchewan, Vagina, Canada.
Well, the thing is that, I think you look at human evolution. We evolved around coastal areas. We evolved our brains because of DHA. We use the environmental signals like light because we have massive DHA stores in our brain. I think a lot of the ways that people are eating right now, this is a human experiment. I was reading the other day that primates, they eat bugs. I was reading primates. They've studied primates eating bone marrow. You know what I mean? So the argument that primates are also, vegan and vegetarian, I think it's a little short-sighted. And I'm not to criticize these people because a lot of them, they're trying to do the best they can, and I totally respect that.
Except Durian Rider, that guy's an idiot. All the other ones are cool, but Durian Rider, you suck.
He's not very nice. He can be not very nice to some people, and I really wish Durian, if you see this, man, like just be nice to people, man. Like
or just go.
We're all one.
Go.
We're all one. Yeah. But the thing is, I think this is largely a human. This is a social experiment. This is a human eating experiment that's going on right now with a lot of people's diets, and I don't think a lot of people are going to make it through this human experiment that we're conducting. Which is, I hate to say it, but I really believe that I believe, and studies can show, and people can show unequivocally, like Jack's work, that DHA is fundamentally what people need to eat. And when people ask me what they should be eating, right away I'm like, seafood, and they're like, well, I'll just take fish oil. No, you can't take fish oil. It's not the same. And if you want to find out why fish oil isn't the same, look into Jack's work. I don't need to tell you, but I want you to go look and have a look at Jack's work. DHA is what you need. And it's might be.
There's loads of studies about fish oil being rancid for the most part and not being bioavailable. And if you want to actually take fish oil, there might be certain brands that are better than others, but for the most part, it's like, why don't you can get frozen fish, and no matter where you live, you can get some like wild salmon. You can get canned sardines, canned mackerel. What's the other one? The little tiny ones, anchovies. You can get these fish, and sardines and mackerel are dirt cheap. I mean, I can get them here. They're like $1.30 for a pretty large can. That's 2 meals. Me and my wife will split a can of sardines with some eggs every morning for breakfast, and it's far superior to eating bacon and eggs, man. I'm telling people that you gotta give it a try. Don't knock something until you've tried it. You know, I mean, I've been down lots of different routes. David's been vegan as well. I was a raw vegan for like a year with some intermittent cheating on meat in between, some sinful meat indulgence, because I knew I needed it. I wasn't a religious vegan. I just thought that it was something really good for my health. I wasn't doing it for ethical reasons. So, I mean, if any vegans are still watching, you can tear me apart there and condemn me to dietary hell. But look, it's not about dogma. It's just about doing what works for you. And this kind of material that we're putting out right here, like this podcast, is directed for the most part towards people who are searching for something new. People who come upon this are not people who've figured it all out and who know exactly the right way to eat, because they're probably more intelligent than to believe that. I don't think I have all the answers. I'm just sharing what works for me. I'm just sharing what I've seen work for loads of people around me and in my life, and just trying to do the best I can to spread awareness and kind of wake people up. And it's, first of all, it's not all about food. It's just one input that you can use. And as you guys both know, you're not going to make yourself happy. You're not going to make yourself a fulfilled human being by eating a certain diet. And I think that's a major mistake that a lot of people make in both like the whole paleo thing, which is kind of a religious dogma as well, that's not based on any, you know, real valid facts, as well as the vegan thing. I mean, these become like ritualistic religions for people where they're reenacting some behavior that's trying to bring about a state of peace and happiness. And that's not going to happen through diet or through exercise. These are just ways that you can change your life. Yeah, exercise and fitness can change your life. You can take back parts of your consciousness by focusing on these things and by accomplishing your goals, but you got to take it into the bigger perspective. And if you're just so tunnel visioned on diet and exercise, you're missing the big picture. And the most important part of diet is being tied to your environment. And yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, you're right, and it's not about, you know, the ethics is one thing. Like there's lots of science to prove that plants know when they're being eaten. Plants know when they're being threatened. You know what I mean? A lot of it becomes our intention with the food that we eat. I don't eat animals because I'm ruthless or because I'm barbaric. I eat based on the health of my brain. But, you know, like you said, you touched on the environment. I think environment and it's showing that environment is so key. Like, are you grounding every day? Are you getting your bare feet on the ground every day? You got to do that, right? Cold thermogenesis, you know, showing that cold thermogenesis has massive benefits. Everybody should be getting into a cold tub. Archimedes' principle, getting into a swimming pool, you know, deep diving, you know, changing Einstein's second law of thermodynamics, equals MC squared, reducing mass on the body starts to heal the body. Being in water heals the body. And you look at it, it's all tied. The environment is really tied to water, light, and magnetism. You know, getting connected to the earth while getting great sun, loaded up on DHA. I mean, these are important things that are fundamental to human health.
And these are just words and almost metaphors for like how people have always lived. We live connected
for how people have always lived.
It's like it doesn't have. I mean, it sounds kind of esoteric to some people. They're like, oh, water, light, magnetism. It's like, look, go out in the sun, go swimming in the ocean, go take a dip in the river, enjoy the feeling and the sensation of cold, of the sun on your naked skin, and eat real food that comes from the environment around you, and eat food that's not processed and crap. I mean, it's like, it's so basic, and there's so many different ways for us to explain it, but it all comes down to just living like a human being and not living like a robot in an anthill.
Yeah. I feel like today a big problem is so many people are stuck in such a sterile environment, you know, that they're always exposed to the same things. Like you're saying, they're never cold, they're never too hot, and a little bit of pressure is good. You know, and a little bit of stress is good because it helps you grow and helps you improve. And that's something that a lot of people are lacking today, is just even being exposed to being outside for more than a 10-minute walk while you go and your dog takes a dump on everybody's lawn.
Well, the thing is, you know, I think a lot of people, I mean, you look at, there's a record number of people giving advice for health, right? There's a whole ton of health gurus, and they're all on their phones telling you, eat this magical food, eat this magical food. What they should be doing is saying, dude, get your ass outside, get on the grass, lay down on the grass, go for a swim in the river.
Get exposed.
What's funny is, all right, so one of the reasons why I really wanted to have my little brother on is he actually really inspires me. Now, we haven't really gotten into his story for a while, but when Chase was 18 years old, he pulled this stunt where he
It wasn't a stunt.
It was almost a stunt. You knew what you were doing, boy. He was 18 years old, and would you get your GED, or how did?
Yeah, I had fucked around too much in high school and didn't want to. Messed around too much in high school.
F-worded around is better. But continue.
I messed around too much in high school and then got told that I'd have to stay extra couple months to finish, and I wanted to get out of Florida, so then I got my GED, which is the equivalent of a high school diploma here.
Which is the equivalent to say that you can read and add 2 + 2, which is it's like slightly below. It's just barely below.
It's not indicative of my knowledge now.
It's barely below my college degree, which basically just means that I'm a step above legally blind and functionally retarded.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
what did you do? I mean, you're probably healthier than most people who are eating like these fad diets, like 80-10-10, paleo, or this or that. And you don't even really worry about food so much. And I think it's because your lifestyle, you got up and you left and you just hit the United States. So maybe talk about just give a basic overview of what you did for the last few years before you decided to kind of go through another change that you seem to be going through now. But yeah, I mean, it's really an inspiring story that you just up and left and just did this traveling thing for years, and saw more of the world than I've ever seen, saw more of the United States than most anybody in the entire world, and did it. He had no money. He he just left. He just did it. Maybe he saw me go to Ecuador and one-upped me. It was screw that. I'm gonna do something even more wild and more crazy. And but yeah, talk about that, Chase. So your lifestyle for the last few years.
Okay, so I got my GED and then saved up $300 or $400 and knew that I needed to get out of South Florida. That this wasn't where I wanted to be. I just felt kind of a pull. And so I left with 2 of my friends, and we went up and around, just stopping whenever we needed money. And I'd look up places on Craigslist to go in, just meet up with someone and do some manual labor or something like that. And
gay for
network.
Gay for pay. Just
what?
You could say gay for pay. It's fine. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But then all the creams and doctor visits started, adding up. No, I just stopped places, and after about 2 months,
you were playing music for money, sometime. I mean, you would.
I was just playing music for fun, just because I love it.
But didn't you use the busk every once in a while? You'd stop at a gas station and play music.
Every once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while, I would busk on the street, play some songs and meet up with some people and just be like, hey, you guys want to pick and see if we can get a couple dollars. But mainly it was just Craigslist stuff and random labor that I could meet people and do random labor for them. And I did that, and then got up to Nederland, Colorado after 2 months after leaving Florida, and ended up, just through a bunch of little synchronistic events, ended up living on a cop's land on this old school bus and doing work for him. And then I needed to leave there, and I just kept traveling around.
He was doing work. Hey, whoa. You're not going to get in trouble. He was growing, I think it was legal. Was it legal at the time?
Yeah, it was legal. It was
police chief's land. Paying his rent by trimming was he the sheriff or what was he?
No, he wasn't the sheriff. He was a little bit higher up, but he was incredible. He was from Ireland, and he would he's not a cop there anymore, so he's back in Ireland. But his name was Dara, and he was really cool. And I remember at one point he pulled over some younger kid who was drunk driving, and he pulled him over, knew him from the town, told him to give him the keys and that he had to walk home, and then drove the car back down to town and called the kid's dad the next morning instead of prosecuting him. And he was just a really good guy. But then I went
went over to Portland and played some music there for a little bit and made a band and just like got a job there. And then met up with two of my friends, one that I met there, one that I met in South Florida, met up and then left and traveled for about 6 months around the United States, just doing kind of the same thing. All around though, we did like 30,000 miles in like 4 months. And
he's stopping at hot springs. He's been to like Glacier National Park.
I was really active and going around to hot springs, doing a lot of hiking, staying outside pretty much all day, and at night the only light was just by a fire.
And he had Chase wasn't into like healthy eating or nutrition.
I was eating crap. I was eating absolute crap for most of that. But when
gas station food, probably
horrible food, but I still felt great just because I was outside all the time and I was pretty much like burning off all that toxic bull crap I was eating.
Yeah, you were coupled to your environment. You were respecting nature's laws by hiking and jumping in Glacier National Park's waters, right? Like that's the thing. You were doing what human beings were supposed to be doing, even if you were trashing your system a little bit with some food, but you were coupled to your environment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I really felt
there was no light pollution for the most part. He was able to see the stars. I mean, I think there's so much more to be said about the internal environment because of the lifestyle that you're living than even like your digestive, your microbiome and this and that. It's like, yeah, all these things are important, but it's like, come on. I mean,
it's about what's going on up here and what you're connecting to and what you're tuning into and what you're thinking about and what you're, letting into your house and what you're seeing through your windows. And I did that for a while. And then after we started traveling again, when I was 19, we started traveling again. And after that, I started eating as much like avocados as I could, started buying more natural foods like that, and felt another like pick up and another kick to how I was living and felt improved again. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
I think it's just really awesome what Chase did. His college years were just like the college of the United States of America. He did what so many people dream about doing, but never do their entire life.
And it's funny because they're like, how did you like, oh, I wish I could do that. I was like, you can. Like, you can do.
Chase had no money. My parents, like, he had a car, which he like, he almost like stole his own car from his place. He told my parents he was going to some music festival.
I did. And then I told him I was going to Colorado, and I did. And then I called him and was like, listen,
no, he's a sweet
I'm going to
kid.
be living in Colorado. There's no lying involved.
I wish people could see how he talks to my mom and dad. It's like he's like the best son that you could ever imagine. So he's like, I see him early. He's like, Mom, can I help you carry your bags up? Like, can I carry you? He's such a good kid. But man, they were freaked out. They're just like, our son has left us. He's 18 years old. He's just traveling around, like living like a hippie. But you know what? I think he probably learned so much in that time frame, and he changed so much as a person. And to me, that's just really inspiring and just shows. I bet if you tested if he got blood work, he would probably be healthier than most people who are eating all these super so-called healthy diets, just because of the way he lives and because of where he decides to put himself. And so yeah, it's not just all about food. Most like Jared, you were an athlete and you were performing at a high level. And what regard did you have for nutrition when you were playing professional hockey, beating the crap out of dudes?
What? Sorry, you just skipped it. Oh, nutrition.
Yeah. What regard? Did you even think about it, or?
We didn't at all. No. Like when you play, when I was playing, it was we got a game tomorrow, so as much pasta as you can eat, pasta, breads. Fill up on those good healthy carbs because you're gonna need that energy tomorrow.
Yeah, and then, you like 1,000 grams of carbohydrates. Like you're gonna use any of that glycogen the next day.
We would play at 7 o'clock or 7:30 at night, and we would eat at 11:30 or 12 would be our last meal, and we would eat. You would try and eat as much as you could. Like I'm talking a whole, like a huge bowl full of pasta. And you'd have a little chicken or.
So you're going for bloat? Do they like to bloat up before the games? I know a lot of like Like power lifters, they eat so they won't bloat because when they squat, they can bounce their belly off their knees.
Well, you wouldn't go into the game bloated, but you'd be so bloated and feeling sick, you'd feel like throwing up. You'd eat so much, and you have what you call a pregame nap. So you'd eat, and at 12:30, you'd have a pregame nap for about 3 hours after you just ate all that food. You wake up, you go to the arena, you play, and by that time, by 7:30, you're not so full anymore. It's been 7 hours, but you're still a little bit full. That's how much you've eaten. And it's just like that was the way it was supposed to be done, we thought.
I mean, what's like the stand? I mean, hockey guys are pretty gruff dudes. I mean, what's it like afterwards? You guys drinking whiskey and beer, or what's going on in the hockey world after the game?
Oh, yeah. Well, in pro hockey especially, you play. You're playing 2-3 nights a week. You're practicing every day. You're battling hard. You're always sweating. You're always getting everything out. But most guys would drink 6 to 8 beers a night, or they'd have a bottle or 2 of wine a night, and maybe take a night off every couple weeks.
Take a night off from hockey to drink more, or take
a night off from drinking. That's just the way everybody, and everybody does that because I think it's a way to kind of de-stress for athletes too.
Yeah.
I know that's why a lot of athletes use marijuana too. They like to. It helps them de-stress. So you drink 6 or 8 beers at night and you de-stress. And you don't notice anything because you wake up and first thing in the morning you go to the arena with 20 of your best friends and you go battle on the ice for an hour and work it all off and you feel great, and then you go for lunch and you go out and you go do it all again.
And battle is a really good word to use. Like I grew up playing hockey too from 4 years old. It's intense. Like hockey's a different sport because it's constantly intense. It's just you're always intense. You're on the bench. It's intense. The coach is intense. And you're out on the ice and you're full out the whole time. It's not like I played baseball too. Baseball was awesome. I love baseball. I'm hanging out in center field, man, just like
bubble gum,
standing there,
people, heckled, battered. That's just
feel out relaxed.
Yeah. Chase, do you remember? I just thought of a story. Chase, do you remember at my baseball practice? Oh man, I was playing like left field or center.
Oh, when I like walked out in between like the pitchers, yeah, I was really young. Yeah.
My friend Bud was the catcher, and he had a good arm, and he was trying to outthrow the runner to first base. The guy, I don't know, he bunted or something, and he picked up the ball and chucks it.
Like,
and all of a sudden, I just see Chase is like running, and the ball's coming at him, and he intercepts the ball and just gets nailed right in the eye. Like it got him in the eye socket. I mean, this is a 12-year-old kid, and he was like the all-star.
I was like 7 or 8.
Chase was 7 or 8. Chase was like 6, and this kid who threw it was a 12-year-old boy who was like the all-star catcher, and he nailed Chase right in the face. Man, I was so scared. I remember how swollen your face was. That was like, that freaked me out.
I got one quick one. I was pitching to a guy who was the best hitter in the league. I threw 2 strikes in on him up high. I was pitching. Yeah. And the third pitch, I was like, oh, I got this guy high inside. I threw it. I hung it out over the plate. And as I was through my motion, my face was out like this. He hit the ball, and I had braces. He hit the ball, and it just came back and wham. And all my mouth just exploded, blood everywhere. My gums were stuck to my braces, and oh my God.
Dude, the catchers have it. The catchers got it pretty dangerous too, with that bat flying around in their face. And you get hit in the inside of the thigh or something, and you can get caught. But you got armor on as a catcher, but you can get messed up too. Yeah, baseball, but it's not as physical. I mean, hockey is like full on, and soccer is pretty physical too. I played soccer as a kid, and the setup of soccer is similar to hockey, except that you're not allowed to fight, and you can't check as violently. But I remember when I played soccer, I was all about checking dudes. Like that's all I wanted to do. Like you're always just looking to just catch someone with that shoe, but you can't lean too much into it, but you can full on run into someone. But physical sports are real fun. I think that's another thing that maybe people miss out on in modern society is, that the physical aspect of life. And
we got FIFA, we got NBA 2000, whatever, we got Xbox. We can still experience it, it's just,
but people
more real. It's more real because you have all the crowd around you and you're already playing at that professional level, there's no like increase.
the blue light Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people do. Like that, people to feel like a man. What people have to do. It's like we're so, like our lives are so insulated that we have to go like lift heavy weights intentionally when we don't need to make our, like, to get that testosterone going and to like feel, to feel good. And I think physical sports are just a manifestation of our need to be physical with our environment, and pick up heavy objects, to be involved in violent conflict. That is a natural human behavior for men, at least. But yeah, I mean, I think we're missing out a lot of this stuff, and people have to like go home after work and drink some beers and like watch a prison documentary to make themselves feel like a man. They got to watch like other dudes all tatted up and shredded, like, acting like monkeys to actually, feel human almost. And I think professional sports, I think sports are pretty important. Yes, they can be a huge distraction, and they can be like, it can be a control mechanism for societies as well. But we like it for a reason. It taps into our primal urges, Primal Edge Health. It taps into our like primal nature, and that's I think that's really important to tap into every once in a while.
And the drama in it too. We don't experience any really like. It's true that we don't experience
situations. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't experience that. And that's why like people love to like climb a mountain or snowboard or something like that. Because it's like you're not thinking at that point. You're just surviving, or you're just. It's very dramatic, but at the same time, it's very serene.
Well, what's being marketed now is like they're calling it flow states. Like flow states. It's like, oh, you mean like when you bomb a hill on a skateboard, when you get on a snowboard, and it's like that's a flow state. People are like making up all these new catchwords to just define being a person in your environment.
Yeah, just being like present and aware.
Yeah,
exactly. Like I snowboard. I've been snowboarding since I was, this would be my 25th year snowboarding. I started in 1990. You know what I mean? When guys were still wearing neon.
Snowboarding longer than Chase was alive.
But I'll tell you what. I didn't know anything about flow states, but one of the things I was always chasing was I was always trying to get as fast as I could go. I was always trying to go, and then when the iPhone came up with that little app called the Ski Tracks app, you could actually clock your own speed. Man. That was actually I was trying to get over 100 kilometers an hour on a snowboard. I wasn't wearing a helmet. And I'll tell you what, I felt really good bombing down a hill trying to hit 100K without a helmet, because there's a point in time where you're just like, you can't think about anything else. You're just totally in the moment of where you are. And then you finish that run hitting 100 kilometers an hour, and you're just like, you're in a whole different place. I guess they call it a flow state now, but I think flow state is just a modern term that we use for these old feelings that we look to conjure.
Well, look at I don't know about you guys, but when I played hockey, we used to call it being in the zone.
Yep. Yeah.
You're in the zone. That's the flow state. You kind of lose time. You're focused on what you're doing. You're present, and nothing else really matters. And that's what we used to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a primal feeling. It goes back to modern human beings, or to human beings chasing down their game. You know what I mean? People. You look at these Japanese ama, these people that dive down for their food. You're diving into an environment where you're not the boss. You know what I mean? That would be a flow state. Maybe that's also what helps keep them so healthy. Is you're diving underwater for your food, and you have other competitors for that food. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everything we have now is all built around modern convenience. We never put ourselves in those dangerous situations when, I guess hockey would be kind of that way. You get a stick in the face, or, soccer, you get spiked, right? Whatever it is. But I think, sports and being physical in these types of ways is super important to overall health. And I don't think, honestly, I'm not trying to be mean to any yoga people, but I don't think just doing yoga is going to suffice to really, feel really, really good. It's good to do, but I think you got to be physical as well.
What these other things, and what especially sports, pro sports, whatever kind of sports it is, I think what they do is they allow you to be your primal self. They allow you to be who you really are. That's why you see guys, to equate it to hockey, you see guys that do stupid things, they get suspended, they say something dumb, or they do something dumb on the ice, and people go, well, he's a great guy off the ice. Why Why is he doing that? Well, because he's just open up, and that's his true self. Off the ice isn't who you truly are. Off the playing field, off of the ski hill, that's not who you really are. When you get into those pro sports or into those situations where you're in a flow state, you're being that's who you are.
Sounds so corny, right? The flow state.
Yeah.
Someone who's really into yoga made that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Great. I think I want to go back to the yoga. I think yoga can be really cool, and like, you know, mobility and everything can be great. But the reason that it's kind of associated with femininity, and, you know, it's more of a kind of a feminine activity, is I think because it is. It's a very balancing activity. It's grounding. It's centering, and traditionally that's the woman's job, is to ground and center the home, to you know, to nurture it and protect it in that way. Whereas as men, you're out there, you know, battling the elements, battling invading tribes, battling a freaking elk to, you know, to get its meat, battling a polar bear over some fish. Or maybe not a polar, unless you're Inuit, you're probably not gonna come upon a polar bear. But
well, I think yoga. I do yoga. I like yoga, and, you know, I find it brings a nice balance, and I think that's really what a person needs to strive for, is balance between the yin and yang, right? I mean, like, you don't want to be too far this way or too far that way, to find a nice balance. And that's like when we talk about how we're relentless in pursuit of excellent health. That's really what it is. It's not dismissing anything like yoga. I wouldn't say, oh yeah, yoga, you shouldn't be doing that. Do yoga, but you know what I mean. Go climb a mountain. Go put yourself in different situations and find what makes you feel really good from all aspects. You know, you can't, you know, you don't want to do everything like too far into anything. You need to find balance. Balance is good. In terms of balance in food, like, no, man, I don't think you got to just eat fish. Eat as much fish. But in terms of physical activity, balance is really good. Yoga is really good. Being real physical is good too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in the diet, it's like, yeah, you strive to eat lots of fish, but you're also probably eating plenty of vegetables, green leafy vegetables most of the time. And you know, I think diet is about balance too. And I don't know, it's a term, something that just came to my mind is just the relentless pursuit of balance. And I think that that's a really good credo, trademark. Bitch.
I think too many people are worried about when they try and find balance, they think that balance is going to be what works for them every day for the rest of their lives. What they should be looking for is, how do I feel today? What do I need? If I feel this way, what do I need to eat? If I'm going to feel a little more tired, now what do I need to eat? Yeah. There's so much more of a balance.
It's like you're balancing on a moving plane. You're balancing on a point of a needle that's moving through a freaking river. It's like you're going to balance on this one spot. Oh, I found out how to live. Stop moving. Yeah. Don't breathe. You know, it's like, no, you're looking for
you got to be reading and reacting all the time to your environment, knowing your body. And yes, balance is definitely key, but the balance has got to switch all the time. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah, you're not balancing on a static thing. You're balancing on a dynamic, fluid environment, and that's life.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Emotionally and spiritually, we have seasons as well, right? You know, if you're eating seasonal, you're changing the way your diet is throughout the year. You know, the light's changing, so you're adapting to that. Same thing with emotions and the way you feel. When I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking, well, I went to the gym yesterday and I did sprints uphill, so I have to go do that again because I think that's the best. It's like, no, man, I don't feel like it today.
I'm gonna be sore. Maybe you want to do some yoga. It's like,
yeah, exactly, man. So, you know, every day we wake up, it's just like, okay, well, how do I feel today? And that sort of dictates my day. I don't get stuck into a rigid paradigm of thinking and saying that, you know, I've made myself this way, or I've pigeonholed myself that I'm this guy and that I have to stick rigidly to this. It's always changing. Yep. And it's all about adapting. It's the same thing with like chaga and elk velvet antler. They're adaptogens. They're adapting to the situation in which your body is in, and you should be adapting every day to the situation that you're currently in. You know, and it's always changing. So I think one of the most important things to remember is for people is not to become totally rigid in your beliefs and totally rigid in your schedule and be consumed and so focused on being that same person every day, because your life is going to change. You know, things are going to change. People are going to come and go out of your life, and that's going to change the way you see life and the way you eat, the way you react. So always being open to changing conditions is really important.
I think we need to people everywhere need to realize that the perfect balance is that there is no perfect balance. Just once we realize that, we can kind of be free a little bit from trying to figure out, hey, what's my rubber stamp that I'm going to rubber stamp every single day and feel the best ever, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there ain't no perfect macronutrient ratio, perfect exercise, perfect.
Perfect.
Except Chase. Chase is perfect, right, Chase?
I guess. I mean, if you say so, I'll take that.
It's funny you said that Tristan, because I was talking to a friend yesterday at the gym that she's getting ready to do a fitness competition.
Oh no! Does she have I hope she doesn't get an eating disorder, man. These freaking women. I get messages all the time from these poor women, and they're like, go ahead though.
Oh no, she was just saying she was saying how she can't figure out her macronutrients, and as soon as she gets them down, something happens and she's got to try and figure them out again. And she just that was just reminding me of that when you said that. That's
it's crazy. Well, that just reminds me. I mean, I get messages from people all the time who are like, I just did a fitness competition and now I just really want to get back on, get my diet right and get back on track. And it's like, dude, after these freaking figure competitions and bikini competitions, especially women. I mean, men have issues with it too. Like these guys that'll do men's physique shows and bodybuilding, obviously they're going to get dysmorphia, but it affects women in a really hardcore way because they get so lean, and it's it's unhealthy the way what these women are doing to their bodies. Women are supposed to have fat. Women are supposed to have a little bit of fat around their hips. They're not supposed to have striated glutes and freaking sick. I don't know. But it's they get crazy body dysmorphia after this, and they're weighing all their food, everything they put in their body. They got the little food scale, and they're like, okay, this is 15 grams of carbs, this much this, and it just becomes so incredibly obsessive. And it's their way of trying to find that balance, and trying to find that satisfaction. And it's if it's not right up there or it's not right here, it's just going to be this big jumbled, desperate search for balance that you'll never achieve. So. Mm-hmm. Freaking crazy. Exactly. Well, this has been awesome. I mean, I would love to keep going and talk a little bit more about adaptogenic herbs and stuff, because that's something that I've always studied and something I've implemented in my life. And, but maybe we'll have to save that for another episode, and maybe next time Chase joins us, I'd love to ask him about some of the places he's seen in the U.S. And he has some crazy stories about some of the things that he's done and seen out on the road as a young renegade.
Don't say hippie.
Don't say not hippie. He's not a hippie. He's like, I'm not a hippie. I got short hair.
I'm me. I'm simply me.
As my younger brother.
Your inferior younger brother. You can just go ahead and say it. Yeah.
Damn. That was good. Hey Chase, I'm gonna have you on more often. Yeah, this has been really, really good. I hope a lot of people see this and kind of take to heart what everybody has said. But if there's any closing statements, I'd love you guys to share where we can find your products. I know we kind of talked about maybe doing a discount code for some of your stuff for the listeners and viewers here. So if you want to do that, give it a shout out. And any closing statements from first I'll let Chase. Chase, got anything to say? No, you said just superior.
Just pay me what we agreed and we're good, and I'll be on again.
All right, well, you keep making those statements like the last one that you said when you said you didn't say that I'm superior, but we'll get it back. We'll get it back. It's semantics. But yeah, Jared and David, what's up? Where can we find you guys? What's cracking?
Well, you can find us online at vigor.ca, vigr.ca. Vigor Lifestyles is the company name. If you want to check out, I started a blog, davidlimaker.com, just write some personal thoughts and stuff like that, sort of outside of the business. So you can check that out. But yeah, that's where you can find our stuff. We sell online and we sell to everybody. We'll do a coupon code for all your listeners. It'll probably be something like Primal Edge. We'll let you know, Tristan, what we decide on. But I think what I want people to think about, and this is sort of the Vigor lifestyle. We're trying to build a lifestyle here. Well, everybody's lifestyle is different, and everything is adapting. one of the things that people need to start focusing on, and I think this is where the world's going, you need to focus on your environment. You really need to take a look at the amount of EMF that you're exposed to, the amount of blue light you're exposed to, whether or not you're getting connected to your environment through grounding. I think those things are fundamental. There's some fundamental things that people really need to focus on, but you know, I really want people to take away from this that, you know, you're different. Everybody is different, and what works for you is going to be a little bit different for everybody. Environment is the same for all of us, but be your own person and just do the best you can. When you wake up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, I think about, what am I going to learn today? Wake up every morning with energy and with lust for life. And if you don't feel like you're being who you want to be, figure out who you want to be. There's lots of information, lots of books out there, because I think everybody has it within themselves to be great. And just search for that and be your own person and do the best you can every day. And I think that's my parting message.
Yeah. My parting message, you know what, I just want to say, to yourself, thank you for what you've done. We've learned a lot from you. You're putting out a good message. Your guests are fantastic, and just keep on doing what you're doing. The more, and none of us are perfect. We might come on next time and say something that contradicts what we said this time, but you know what? We're all going to be keeping on trying to evolve and trying to get better and always looking for the answers. So as long as we all do that together, it's going to be a lot easier.
And Chase, keep being yourself, man, and never lose your zest for life. You know what? A lot of people will tell you that you need to go to college, you need to get formal education. Man, there's information in books and there's information online. You can be anyone that you want to be, and all the information's there. Don't get caught into anybody's rigid belief that you have to be a certain person. You sound like a deadly dude, and your brother Tristan, he's been really influential in our health. And tell you what, man, the information's there. Go out and carpe diem.
Yeah, thank you.
That diem.
Mm-hmm.
And try to look for a label, because if you're not a hippie, you need some sort of label. Try to find something quick.
You have to label yourself. That's the most important thing in life, is finding a label to clutch onto, finding something to idolize, imitate.
I was thinking about changing my name to like Starlight Crystal Warrior or something like that.
That's a good start. Yeah, I like that. I like it.
Yeah, you should get into raw food vegan with that name.
Yeah.
But, this has been a great podcast. I hope to find some more guests that are awesome like you guys. But you know what? Unfortunately, in the world of health and whatnot, it seems like the real people can be few and far between. So I'm on the lookout for more real people like you guys all the time. There's plenty of awesome people that I've already talked to, and that I'm ready to line up and fill in some more content with that. But this has been really cool. And I think everybody should just be in that relentless pursuit of balance, which is on a fluid surface and changing all the time.
In the flow state.
In that flow state. Be in the flow state. But the relentless pursuit of perfection that you'll never find is really important. And we grow every day, and every decision we make makes ripples across the pond that reach all the way to the end. And you don't know the effect that you're having, and you don't know the full extent to the positive effect that you can have on people just by being yourself. You're not going to have a positive effect by imitating others, by emulating others, or idolizing others. It's all about, your own individual journey. We've got 4 people here who have vastly different experiences in life, but who can connect on such a real level. And this has been really awesome. And you guys can find them at vigr.ca. Check out their products. And you can find Chase in Florida.
On a street corner, looking for kicks.
Just looking for.
Bring some change just in case he's busking.
You can find Chase on Tinder. I don't know.
No, you'll be able to find me in Colorado. And
Chase be in Boulder. You'll be in Boulder soon, won't you?
Yep, you'll be able to find me in Boulder, Colorado.
Just look for it.
Yeah, and if you find me, good luck from there. I mean,
so you can check me out at primaledgehealth.com, and keep moving forward in life. It's a constant journey of and you're constantly evolving as a person. So never get stagnant because that's death. Peace, everybody.